we might get a very, very interesting Wrestlemania, because this is the first time, I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time a major sporting event on the scale of Wrestlemania, which usually numbers somewhere like upwards of 80,000 people in attendance, right? This is the first time that's going to
Yeah,
be performed in front of no one. Imagine
right.
the entrances. Like,
Oh,
Drew
it's so
McIntyre,
weird.
he's gonna come out. There's gonna be like 50 people playing bagpipes. It's gonna be nuts. Like, the pageantry, the insanity of the everything surrounding WrestleMania, and it's like, shing, like no one.
Huh. Okay, right. So, I mean, so WrestleMania is going to be at the Performance Center, right? So it's not like it's going to be the empty stadium in Tampa anymore.
Sure.
It's just the Performance Center.
Right, right.
Now, the thing is, it could be an empty arena. I was also thinking like, well, let's see. If everyone is there to perform anyways, what if they just make the wrestlers themselves the audience? Like, while, you have a match between
Mm.
Orton and Edge, they could just have, like, other wrestlers that are other
Hey,
WWE guys just, like,
that would be
watching it as
fun.
well.
Yeah, you have like the
I
baby faces
guess.
on one side and the heels on the other side of the arena.
Ooh,
That could
interesting,
be
right?
kind of fun.
Feels a little Survivor Series, a little ECW paper what was it? One Night Stand from, like, 2005.
Yeah,
Kinda like all the good guys watching and, like, they're watching from far away and, like, "Hmm,
I
interesting."
suppose it would work if you brought up, especially like all the developmental talent or anyone who doesn't have a match on the card for that night. You could be part of the audience. Now, having said that, I wonder if that's in violation of the large gathering code that is being suggested. Like, don't make a large gathering, but anyone who's there
That's
presumably
true.
already is not infected, right? Or, it just
Hmm.
raises a little bit of questions. It would be very, very fun to see something like that happen, though. And I think it could also give us a glimpse into the way that wrestlers see wrestling and the ones who are really passionate about it. So, for example, there's this great clip of Xavier Woods at the last WrestleMania. He's kind of a little bit off to the side of I don't know what you call it, the ramp area, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
when
okay,
music
yeah.
hits,
Yeah.
he marks out so hard. And I was just
For
like,
Batista?
for
For
Batista!
the
It's like,
yeah.
he's a coworker technically, but, he's around the same age as us, so he would have been a teenager when Batista was getting really, really big, so he's kind of a legend to him, the same way that Batista was, like, the up-and-coming guy when we were, younger?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that clip too. It's hilarious. Yeah, Xavier, I mean, I don't even know why I looked it up because it's not that important, but he's 33. So you're right. Yeah, he's around our age. So he probably grew up watching Batista on SmackDown and all that good stuff. So
Mm,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of guys who will maybe get some creative freedom who are like, just fans of the bit, like fans, like the Seth
mhm,
Rollins, the
right,
Xavier Woods, these guys who, KO, like these guys who are true, big fans and maybe will get to participate in the events in a different
mhm,
way now. And also at the same time, maybe, they do get a little more creative freedom because you don't have, I mean, you're kind of performing for the cameras and for the boys and the girls in the back, but
mm.
you're like not, I mean, not having a crowd also allows a lot more, yeah, a lot more freedom to do whatever you want.
That's true. If they do it right, anyways, um, as well, if they do it right, I think it could be very interesting.
It could be
Despite
it could be it could be good.
Yeah, despite everything, WrestleMania 36 might turn into something. Well, it's gonna be unique no matter what, right? It's gonna be special for that one reason that it's unprecedented.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's historic. It might be the last time that we ever see a WrestleMania like this ever. Now, one thing that I was talking to you, I think, about yesterday, and I wanted to discuss is, do you think it would have been a better idea
Mm,
to cancel everything and just pause the storylines and just pick it up again in
right.
June or July or whenever we get through the woods on this thing? Or do you think it's it's a better idea for the WWE to sort of conclude the storylines or continue the storylines, even if you're just doing empty arena shows.
Right. So I think we might have had a little bit of contrasting opinion on this. We didn't really talk about it face to face or over the phone or whatever. My stance is that it would be absolutely better to put that bookend on the 2019-2020 1 year storyline season, so to speak, right? Like wrestling doesn't have seasons, but if you had to say it had seasons, it starts and ends at Mania, right? Um,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be completely against elongating all the stories, but having that nice, clean cut and reset is important, I think, for getting new talent over. Not that they really seem to be caring or focusing on that recently,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah. What is your opinion about this? Do you think that they should elongate the stories, keep it going until they can put on that big show in front of everybody, or just wrap it up and keep going? The other thing is we have no idea how long coronavirus is gonna stick around for. But having said that, yeah, what's your take?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. It's good that you said that, right? Because we don't know if corona is gonna disappear within the next again, we have no idea. It could be 4 weeks, 8 weeks, it could be longer. So, from that point of view, you could justify saying like, "Look, we don't know when this is gonna end. We have to finish off these storylines because we may not be able to we there's no set date when things are gonna be back to normal." On the other hand, I would imagine that if you do have a WrestleMania at an empty arena, I mean, look, as campy and as fun as it's gonna be, and I'm sure in some way it's gonna feel like some type of bizarro world WrestleMania from another dimension. It's gonna feel that way, and that's definitely gonna be kinda cool, but I, as a fan, still want some type of rain check. Like, I would like
Uh,
to see a WrestleMania event with the crowd once this all the dust is settled and this is cleared up. So, I mean, I understand completely that I mean, it's impossible to plan for that at the moment considering the circumstances, but there has to be some wiggle room that should be made creatively so that if and when this thing clears up, we could do some type of Tampa, Florida huge WrestleMania event and make up for that because I don't know, man. It's just, how do you not? I feel like I mean, yeah, we could conclude these storylines like you said. We could conclude the season, but man, it's just gonna feel like such a letdown if that's just okay. That's it. Roman Reigns won the belt off Goldberg. Let's go. you know,
right, right.
and there's no type of I don't know. I guess actual crowd and interaction and all that. So
They
yeah,
talk a lot about making WrestleMania moments, right? And they talk a lot about this was a while ago. I sent you this. A It was like a late stage script for an episode of Raw or something. Do you remember this? And they had a checklist of things that they needed or that they should have happen on every episode of Raw and every episode of SmackDown. And on that checklist, there was some, kind of like basic stuff. But one of them, and the one that stood out to me, was the oh shit moment where they're supposed to have one of these moments in every episode, whether it's like the
yeah,
or whatever it is like Brock Lesnar superplexes the Big Show and the ring implodes. Like that is definitely an oh shit moment, right? And they're supposed to have
right.
moments, but like imagine them doing that in front of an empty stadium. It would not be anywhere near the same amount of like a spectacle as with the crowd because the crowd went nuts. And that's part of the fun, right? I mean, I sound like a broken record here because I'm just saying the same things over and over again.
You can't really tell much of a narrative, man. I mean, you just you can't tell much of a narrative at all. If I mean, imagine like you're saying, imagine they tried that spot in an empty arena, like, like, now it's been done actually a couple of times. The original was
Right.
Lesnar and Big Show and, like, the ring collapsing. if you did that in an empty arena, it would be the biggest waste of, like, having to reconstruct this ring again for no reason. Because like, alright, like, just a lot of noise in an
Yeah.
empty
Yeah. Yeah.
it would be insane, you know? I mean, for that matter, if we're gonna talk about big spots and, like, all those types of things, like, for example, like, the last man standing match with Edge and Orton.
Yeah.
You can't I mean, there's only so much you can do with that. My assumption is they're gonna try to book it like a hardcore match where they beat each other up outside of the ring. But, like, for example, like, any crazy spot, like the Mick Foley flaming table at, with Edge from, like, what, 10 years ago or something? Like, you
Mm,
can't do that. You can't
right.
do that now. That's not gonna work, you know? Like, who's gonna that's insane. Like, you can't do those types of spots. Like, the best thing you can do is maybe, again, do some type of hardcore beating each other up on the rails or something like that, like,
Yeah, so
because
what are
you can't
these,
build up a
like
massive spot. You'd have no crowd to sort of build up some huge, moonsault swanton off of a ladder thing. It's
right,
just
but they have to do that despite the lack of crowd.